Being very entitled and controlling, narcissists have no difficulty stepping all over your personal boundaries. So that's why I put together an extensive video class called This Is Me. It has 25 videos, written documents, guided questions. I'm going to teach you how to have healthy boundaries. There's a link below, and I hope you'll find it to be quite therapeutic. Let's begin with a question today, and that is, what does it mean to be psychologically mature? Now, there are many indicators, but at the very top of the list, I would put the term conscientiousness. When you engage with others with their needs in mind as you engage with your own personal initiatives. But in addition, we would also say that a mature person is someone that manages conflicts constructively. They're able to blend well and harmonize with one another, with other individuals. They have a good balance between having strong convictions while at the same time knowing how to accept others who are not quite the same as them. They have a sense of consideration and respect toward other individuals. It's part of the defining features of who they are. And they're always in a growth mode. Now, I want you to compare that with what we know about the narcissistic pattern. Narcissists start in their engagement with you that says, I want to be in control over you. And they're very overbearing and bossy and critical at times. Narcissists are truly not concerned with understanding you from the inside out. They constantly play games of one-upmanship. They feel very needy for the entitled or special status. They're controlled by their own troubled emotions. But then they turn around and blame their troubled emotions onto you. And they use people for their own personal advantages. That's their immaturity. And I want us to see if we can dovetail off of the patterns that we know to be part of narcissism. And I want to see if we can come up with perhaps some off-label indicators that says, if you see these particular issues, and I'm going to give you 8 of them, if you see these 8 issues at play inside that narcissistic person, what they're doing is they're exposing the fullness of their own psychological immaturity. Now, let's dive in with the very first one. The first issue that tells me we're dealing with a very immature individual is the refusal to admit personal blunders or confusions or mistakes. No matter how obvious it is to everyone else, it's like, no, I don't admit anything. And somehow, if they do make mistakes or if there's something that's gone wrong with them, it's always someone else's fault, isn't it? Look what you've done to me. They will not take responsibility for who they are, especially when some of the negatives or difficulties show up. A second indicator that exposes their immaturity is they leave other individuals feeling insignificant. And one of the things that we talk about with narcissists is they're so entitled and they're so impressed with who they are that they are truly incapable or disinterested in seeing into other individuals. Healthy, mature people say, well, I know there's me and I have my issues, but you have yours too. And as we engage with each other, I want you to know that I care enough about you to know who you are and why you feel what you feel, not for manipulative purposes, but I want you to feel uplifted and significant because of my presence in your life. Narcissists have a way of making people walk away thinking, I must just be some sort of nobody. They just treat me like dirt so many times over. A third issue that reveals their immaturity is they repeat their own flaws and insensitivities a lot. They just have either a lack of insight or they may just have a passive-aggressive, I don't care attitude. But you'll notice that whether it's them being argumentative or them being very difficult or contrarian or overbearing or unavailable, it's like, yeah, and they were that way the last couple of times that I talked with them, and they were that way a year ago, and they're going to be that way 10 years from now. They just don't learn. They keep repeating the same old flaws over and over and over because you see, they don't care about growth. They just care about their immediate needs in the moment. Now, a fourth issue that tells us that these are psychologically immature people, and that is envy overrides any feeling of gratification toward you. Let's say something good has happened to you. You won an award, or somebody has said some nice things about you, or you are anticipating something good to happen and it came through. And the narcissist is like, why didn't that happen to me? I should have been the one that's in the positive spotlight, not you. And rather than them truly and honestly saying, I'm so pleased on your behalf and enjoying your good fortune, it's like, no, that's wrong. That should have happened to me, and I can't imagine anybody as unworthy as you getting whatever accolades you're getting, and they just can't stand it because it's got to be all about themselves. Immature people and selfishness kind of go hand in hand. A fifth issue that reveals their immaturity is the refusal to be psychologically vulnerable. Now, sometimes when narcissists may tell you about some of their own personal psychological issues, their hurt or their depression or their anger or their frustration, they can seemingly be exposing some of their internal issues. But you'll notice over time that every time they do that, it's just really a gripe session. All they're doing is saying, yeah, look at what all these other individuals have done to make my life miserable, as opposed to them sharing some of their personal vulnerabilities and then concluding, I have some real soul searching to do. No, they don't do that. They just blame, they gripe, they complain. But true psychological vulnerability implies that you admit, I've got my humanity that's playing into this, and I'm willing to put it out there on display. They won't do that. A sixth issue that reveals their immaturity is they will readily dismiss and reject anyone who is an outsider. Basically, in their way of thinking, I need people in my world to think according to my agenda. And if you come across as too different, or if you present needs or preferences or ideologies or opinions that are different from mine, get out of here. I don't want to mess with you. And so it's too difficult for them to harmonize with you. You just need to conform, which is a very different concept, to them. A seventh issue that exposes their immaturity, and this is one I just keep shaking my head over this one, the absurd defensiveness that they operate with. And if you challenge them, or if you just show yourself to be a little different, it's like, I can't deal with that. And they throw their walls up. If you have any kind of confrontation, they can't manage that. And they have to justify who they are, or they keep themselves at a distance from you. They keep secrets. They won't reveal what's going on. They're very difficult to penetrate when you say, hey, we have some things we need to talk about. It's like, yeah, we have things to talk about. It's you. And their defensiveness prompts them to become offensive. And then an eighth indicator or issue that shows their immaturity. And that is, they have an uncanny knack for creating problems out of minutia. How many times have you thought, we had this difficulty, or we had this disagreement, and I don't even remember what it was about. Or they took some small something that I said that was really not all that significant and turned it into this big mushroom cloud. What's going on here? Narcissists don't have inner peace to draw upon. And so even when small things come along that can be managed very quickly and easily, it's like, no, I'm going to show you how much chaos is residing on the inside of me, and I don't mind throwing that chaos onto you. That's their immaturity. Now, I have a couple of questions I'd like for you to ask of yourself, and that is, when narcissists show themselves to be this immature, unable to manage relationships psychologically well, do you ever get sucked into their immaturity? And by that, you become easily triggered, or you fall into what I refer to as mythical thinking, wishful thinking. Why can't they just quit doing this and let's do it this way instead? Do you get sucked into the patterns that they establish? And then a second question takes us in a much better direction, and that is, do you have sufficient boundaries? And do you allow yourself to move forward with your own individual growth initiatives despite the narcissist's inclination to try to pull you back into their sphere of influence? Narcissists, from your own personal experience, can become the dominant force in pretty much any relationship if you allow it. When I say dominant, like I say, they're very overbearing and controlling. But instead, I'm hoping you can decide, I'm going to individualize. If you are engaging with a narcissist, there are just going to be times when they're there and they have their influence. But I'm hoping you can, in fact, be your own separate person. You can trust your instincts, and you can stay disentangled from the immaturity that they bring to the relationship. Now, in their immaturity, as you decide to become distinct, as you decide to rise above the fray and get away from the confusion that they create, narcissists are going to consistently and predictably put the accusational spotlight onto you. You're the problem, and they're going to do it virtually every single time. And you know what your response can be? Why don't we consider the source? I'm dealing with an immature person. That's what they do. But you see, I'm an adult, and I'll not be drawn into their childishness. I hope this gives you some good insight with respect to what you're dealing with. We lost Gus right there on the last part about their immaturity. He's over here on the other side of me right now. If you haven't already hit that subscribe button, I would encourage you to do so, and we'll keep more videos coming, and I hope that the cumulative effect can be something that can be very educational for you. If you have a need for therapy, and I know many times when you're dealing with this, it would be very helpful if you had somebody that could sift this out with you. You know, I've been sponsored for years by the people at BetterHelp.com, and we know that it's an effective way with the online therapy that they provide. It's an effective way to get the help. It's affordable. It's accessible. Please, as the need presents, avail yourself to the help that they can offer to you. There's a link below that will take you to their site, and you get a 10% discount on the first month if you go through the link. In addition, we have my therapeutic courses. It's like signing up for an online class. I put a lot of work into them. It's very extensive. Each course has at least 25 videos. Every one of them has written documentation per video, guided questions. We have Ready, Set, Connect about making healthy connections. This is me about establishing your boundaries, free to be, finding yourself despite those controllers. We also have my webinars, and I love doing them, and we keep them archived in our website that you can avail yourself to, even though they've been presented already. And then in addition to that, we have my podcast, we have many articles, my books, plenty of resources. Okay, you're dealing with a narcissist. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with somebody who hadn't grown up yet. That being the case, I'm hoping you can see the signs and recognize what their issues are so that you will not become entangled with them. And in doing so, I hope it positions you to become a person of consistency and steadiness, and I hope that you're able to find the peace that remains elusive to them.